When I was 5 years old, I thought Khadija was a white woman. When I was 5 years old, I thought Eesa and the whole of the Sahaba were white people. Do you know why? Because in the film The Message, it's Englishmen. It's Englishmen playing Abu Bakr Siddiq Khan, bro. It's the Englishmen. So when I was young, I thought that the Sahaba were English people.
Donald Trump is going to send it back to Africa.
Who said that? Come on camera. Come on camera. Don't be a coward.
If Islam's not the issue, and it's somewhere else, then it's a global issue.
But if we're saying we're the adherents, yeah, we're the physicians, we're the surgeons, we've got the cure, yeah, and we're trying to convince people of it, yeah, it's more effective, yeah, that it affects us inwardly first, and then present it to the whole world. If we're saying we've got it, but we're still rotten, you got the medicine in but the cabinet's locked, and your key ain't working, there's an issue.
I experienced racism in my office from a white man who wanted to joke about how he wants to keep slaves, and then 5 minutes later he wants to tell me that when I called him Mr. his last name, he wants to tell me that it's master to you. And then when I told this to my manager, who's a Bengali woman, who's meant to be my sister in the Deen of Islam, hang on!
She's your manager, not your sister.
Stop!
She's your manager, don't conflict.
Stop! Stop, please. Nobody invited you here, Akhi. Please.
Don't.
Please, don't be rude to me. Don't be rude to me.
I'm not. Let me finish.
I'm not going to fight to speak. Nobody can silence me today. Nobody's going to silence me today. In the Deen,
you said your bit.
Because you're laughing at me. You're laughing at me. I'm not a joke. I'm not a joke. I'm not crazy. I'm not making it up. Don't laugh at me, innit? Don't laugh at me.
I'm not laughing at you. All right, guys. We as black people, whether we are Muslims or non-Muslims,
bro, he was doing a speech,
all due respect here, you seem like you're in some sort of denial.
Content over everything.
Inshallah, heavy dose of foundation on my man, yeah?
Foundation.
Hey, content. Hey, make sure you got that focus on, man, yeah? Make me look good, B. Come on.
Only girl alone me make look good.
Aye.
We know Easa's got his hair did.
Yeah, done though.
You said you're in Eesa. You as the token support.
Boy, I'm not really. It's not even a support. It's a conversation, isn't it? Like we're just trying to make it as organic as it can be.
We should have a conversation.
Okay. Rolling gun.
Yeah. So yeah, salam to everyone watching. So I'm the Fisherman. You saw me a couple of weeks ago on Content Over Everything, and I was quite keen to come back on camera because that statement that I made in the tube that day, I've gotten a lot of backlash from it. I've gotten backlash from Bengalis, from Pakistanis, from Arabs and so forth. But what really has upset me is the backlash that I've got from the Somali, the backlash that I've got from the Malian, from the Senegalese, from the Nigerian, from the Muslim who's not only Muslim, but he is identified as black and African, and who identifies as black and African. And because I've had this backlash, I feel like it's quite important. It's very important. It's critical, in fact, yeah, that we have this conversation. And today I stand with my brother Eesa, who's my brother in the Deen of Islam, who is also my comrade in the struggle, because Eesa knows the truth in it, yeah. And I stand with my brother Raven, even though he's not a Muslim. Wallahi, I'm here to tell the camera, I've seen Raven behave better as a better Muslim than a lot of Muslims in this park. And I'm proud and I'm embarrassed to say that at the same time. Yeah? I'm proud and I'm embarrassed to say that at the same time. And I'm here, I do not criticize the Deen of Islam. I genuinely believe that the Deen of Islam, it is perfect. It is perfect. However, the Deen of Islam is a piece of mass communication from God to humanity. It is not the action of men. Yeah, and I'm here to correct the action of men, and I hold to account the Muslim before I hold the non-Muslim to account, because the Muslim is held to a much higher standard, because the Muslim knows the Quran and the Sunnah, and therefore he must be held to a higher standard. Now, I want to allow Eesa and Raver to make their positions as well. Go ahead.
Boy, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Just having a conversation with our brother here about some of the issues that we're facing when it comes to racism between Muslims and non-Muslims. But we're going to stick to Muslims today. I'm just sort of standing in as a sort of a moderator. If the brother goes off on a point where I think it's not germane to this topic, then I'll pull him up on that. Or if I develop any ideas upon what he's saying, then I'll try and elaborate. But that's mainly my purpose here, and just to like, stand behind the brother, and some of his concerns are valid. So
it's like this. As you know, I'm Raven. I'm a black betterment builder, and I'm literally going to try to facilitate any kind of conversation where black people, regardless of what faith they are talking together to improve the realities of black people locally and globally. So I'm here to help facilitate that, and hopefully we get some nice dialogue going.
So just before the camera came on, me and myself and Eesa were in a conversation regarding how exactly do we define the racism? What exactly is racism? I feel a lot of Muslims out there, and I feel like Eesa as well, he confuses prejudice and bias with racism. Listen, let's not get things twisted here. Yeah? Prejudice and bias, these are problems, no doubt. These are significant problems that need to be challenged, right? But racism is something different. Racism is a global system that dictates that the darker skinned you are, the lower down you go in terms of the societal pecking order. In other words, because I am a dark-skinned black man, I am more inclined to end up in prison. I'm more inclined to be murdered. I am more inclined to end up in a mental health institution. And it's not because of anything innate in me. It's not because of anything that I was born with. I'm not born to be more, mentally unstable than a white man or a Bangladeshi man or an Arab man. The reason I'm more inclined to end up in a mental hospital or prison or to do worse in school or to get paid less when I get a job, etc., is because of this global system that some people call white supremacy. I personally hate that term, white supremacy. And I hate that term because it gives way too much credit to the white man, essentially. Like, I know where this comes from. It does not come from Europe, The European, they never invented nothing, bro. The European claims that tea is his. The European claims that the guitar is his. The European claims that, rock and roll music, etc. is all his. It is not. They adopted it from other people. And racism, they've adopted it from the Indo-Aryan that comes from the continent of India. And the Indo-Aryan should not be confused with my brother, the Punjabi. The Indo-Aryan should not be confused with my brother, the Bengali. The Indo-Aryan should not be confused with those people, because those people are my brothers, and they don't put no flag in front of me. They don't put no flag in front of me. And they know that my blood, the blood of a believer, is the holiest thing in the deen of Islam. And I'm more important than any flag. Far more important than any building. Anywhere in the world. Because my blood is the blood of a believer. Simple. Right? And I know so many Muslims in 2010 that after when the EDO said they were going to come down to East London Mosque, when the EDO said they're going to come down to Haram Masjid, I saw thousands of Muslims that came out and I stood with them. You know why? Because I stand against anyone who's doing wrong. And when they tried to come down to the masjid, they were doing wrong, and the brothers that defended the masjid, they were on the side of the right, so I stood with them. And I saw thousands of Muslims there. But ultimately, we defended a building. And if that building was destroyed, we would rebuild it brick by brick. But when we lose a Muslim brother in the desert, when we lose a Muslim brother in the sea, only God can create that life. And God will not bring him back. They will not bring him back. So if you're willing to defend a building, why are you not willing to defend your brother? Simple as. If you're willing to defend a building, why won't you defend your Aki, bro? Your Ak drowns in the sea today. Your Ak dies in the desert today. Your Ak is in a slave camp today. Your sister is, they call her a maid, but really she's a sex slave. Let's talk facts here. Let's talk facts here. Your brother is penetrated by a fake Arab. I'm saying sexually penetrated, bro. He's raped. In Riyadh, this happens. In Abu Dhabi, this happens. In Dubai, this happens. And these fake emirs, these fake maliks, these fake sheikhs, they don't respect us, bro. They don't respect any of us. They don't respect the Arab, they don't respect the Bangladeshi, but they hate the black Muslim.
By sheikhs, you mean the sheikhs that are in control of the Arabian Peninsula, or are you talking about religious?
The emirs, the maliks, the sultan that came before him. Because I remember what the Turkish man did as well. Let's not get it twisted up in there. I'm here to expose everything. The sultans, but also the ones who are presenting themselves as the gatekeepers to our deen.
And those fake sheikhs as well, the ones with the big beards, you know, to me they're fake sheikhs as well, and I'll tell you why. Yeah.
We have to. All right, cool. My thing is we have to speak about who they are, innit?
I'll tell you why. Why I have beef with the Malik and the guy who put himself as the gatekeeper to the deen. You know why? Because the Malik killed the real sheikh a long time ago, bro. The sheikh that came with the hack, he killed him a long time ago. I'll tell you what. Shall I tell you the truth? In Somalia, I'll give you an example. In Somalia, we had a dictator for 30 years called Said Barre. And Said Barre self-described himself as an Islamic communist. Now, if you know anything about communism, and if you know anything of Islam, those two terms cannot coexist. It is impossible for you to be a Muslim communist, simple. But this guy walks around saying, I'm a Muslim communist. And then there were sheikhs that backed him. You know why? Because the sheikhs that said, no, this is falsehood, this is bid'ah, this is shirk, this is some innovation. All the sheikhs that said that, they were murdered. They were killed.
Were they Somali sheikhs or
they were Somali sheikhs? They were murdered. Yeah. So the fake sheikh came out of the woodwork because he saw a vacuum in terms of the position of power. So he said, let me go forward, let me step inside that space. All I have to do is to say communism and Islam, you know, they can't intermix. That's all I have to say. No problem, I will say that. And then I will get my position of power. Saddam Hussein did the same thing. All of these fake Maliks, these fake Emirs did the same thing. The Sultan before him did the same thing. Yeah, even Gaddafi, who let's not doubt it, the Gaddafi, it was an ally to the African. Yeah, Gaddafi was an African. Gaddafi was black, furthermore. Fuck, stop, I'm swearing on camera. Gaddafi was a black man to me. But even him, yeah, even him, he killed the sheikh that came with the truth. He killed the sheikh that criticized him. Right? And this is some BS, man. This is real BS. And I'm here really not to have an argument with people. Honestly, I don't want to have an argument with people. I want to bring my brothers in, yeah? Because, yes, alhamdulillah, I'm Muslim. Alhamdulillah, I am Muslim. But I am identified as black. And because I am identified as black, my existence, my reality is not the same as my brother from Arabia. It's not the same as my brother from the Bengal. It's not the same as my brother from the Punjab, right? So when we define racism, understand something. I am not talking about prejudice. I am not talking about bias. I'm talking about this global system that means that because I am darker skinned, my reality is not the same as the brother who's lighter skinned than me, right? And honestly, when I tell these things to black Muslims, I haven't heard of one black Muslim say you're mad. I haven't heard one black Muslim say, oh, you know, alhamdulillah, we're all Muslim. You know, alhamdulillah. I've never had one black Muslim try to quote to me the first sermon. Like, I didn't know the first sermon when I was 6 years old, rude boy. Come on, don't quote to me the first sermon. The last sermon, astaghfirullah. Don't quote to me the last sermon of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yeah? I knew the last sermon at the age of 6, bro. But at the age of 5, I knew that Bilal, who is one of the greatest of the Sahaba, I knew Bilal was a former so-called slave. To me, he was never a slave. He was a prisoner of war. That's my definition of him, right? But if you want to say slave, fine. For the purpose of this conversation, we'll say he was a former slave. And we know no doubt that he was a Sahaba. We know no doubt he was one of the best of the Sahaba. And we know no doubt that he was a black African man. And I knew this at 5 years old from watching the film The Message. And when I was 5 years old, I thought Abu Bakr Siddiq Khan was a white man. When I was 5 years old, I thought Khadija was a white woman. When I was 5 years old, I thought Eesa and the whole of the Sahaba were white people. You know why? Because in the film The Message, it's Englishmen. It's Englishmen playing Abu Bakr Siddiq Khan, bro. It's the Englishmen. So when I was young, I thought that the Sahaba were English people.
Donald Trump is going to send it back to Africa soon.
Who said that? Come on camera. Don't be a coward. Don't be a coward.
He was intellectually a coward.
Okay.
But
go ahead.
You speak of Islam, you try to conflate racism with Islam, a personal opinion with a collective societal issue. Racism has got nothing to do with Islam.
I agree.
Yes,
100% I agree.
You agree with that?
So what has made you believe that I believe that Islam is racist?
No, I never believe it's you who's trying to conflate.
What have I said that has given you this impression? Please tell me.
You gave me the impression that you had issues with Muslims who were expressing racialist views. And I was trying to tell you that is their own personal opinion, and it has got nothing to do with or any foundation or any basis in Islam.
No,
So-
Now,
What-
what have I said
What has he
that
said
has
to do
led
this?
you to believe differently? Because I agree with you.
Yeah.
What have I said?
Why have you
Yes.
jumped up from the
That-
shadows and
Yes.
said this?
Yeah. Why I said is you trying to conflate Islam by speaking about racism, and with the same breath you're speaking about Islam and its history. If you want to talk
I'm
about
talking
race,
about the Muslim,
if
not
you-
Islam.
If you
I'm
want,
talking about the Muslim. I'm talking about the barber, the mechanic, the butcher.
Then
I'm talking
talk
about the
about them.
man.
Then
I'm not
talk
talking
about them.
That's what I'm doing.
But
Why are you interrupting
don't
me?
try to conflate them with Islam or
Okay,
Muslims.
okay, you
the
made your point.
individual people.
Okay, you made your
with
point.
The individual,
All
they
right,
have got their
all right,
own
all right,
reasons.
all right. You made your point.
Yes.
You made your
But this
point.
is important. This is
You made your
important.
point.
Yes.
Something in your mind made you think he was doing this.
No,
now, this is not nothing I've got from him and nothing that anyone else got from him, but you have.
I've
So why do
spoken-
you think in your mind you
Yes.
felt that way? Why
I-
do you think?
It-
What has happened in your past that when you
No,
hear
he's
say
a
a black brother
psychologist.
talk about racism amongst Muslims?
He's not more
that
blacker than me.
Hold on.
He's not more
Hold on,
blacker than
brother
me.
man. And what makes you think he is critiquing Islam when
yeah.
he's talking about Muslims who are
Yes.
practicing
Yeah.
discrimination?
What I heard
First
from
of all,
him,
ha-
what I
first-
heard from him, speaking Islam with the same breath of
So you're
racism.
mistaken.
If you no, I have spoke to him earlier.
The brother's
If-
contention is
yeah.
mention Muslims,
And
don't mention
racism.
Islam with it. But
If you want to talk about racism, speak
He
on
did.
its own.
Okay.
Yeah, he did.
So when
I've been
he's
listening.
just saying don't
Okay,
mention
okay.
what he wants to say.
Okay,
is don't
so-
mention no
so
ayats,
Chef-
don't mention no
Chef-
hadith.
Yes.
Chef, I'm not here to criticize the
Yeah.
deen of Islam.
Yeah.
Wallahi,
started that
the
when he said-
deen
he said-
of Islam
he
it
said-
is perfect.
This is where he started.
There is no fault.
I have no issue with that.
Stop. There is no fault in the deen of Islam. The Muslim like you either is a racist or hates himself,
who-
and you hate yourself.
Who
I'm
can-
telling you now.
who-
You
wait.
hate yourself.
So that-
Simple.
wait,
see-
I need to
see-
listen.
Bro, that's where
So, Habibi, please,
Akhi,
let me talk to
wait,
my
wait.
brother here.
Bro.
So he wants to make a point.
Don't
You
be
made your
so-
point.
don't
Stop,
be so
stop,
judgmental.
stop.
But
Stop.
listen,
You made your point.
but you made it.
You made your
Wait, I've got to
You
stop
made
him.
accusation
You
over
made
there.
an
You made your point.
You made an accusation on him.
Yeah, you made.
And I'm saying, part of the time, a lot of the time we do this, we assume someone starts. Actually, now come forward. We assume someone starts here based on some things they said
Yeah.
because of your experience with previous people that have said the same thing.
That's a good point.
That doesn't. He might be saying that based on some reasons. So break it down for him.
Okay,
Yeah?
you know what? I'm sorry. You're right. I'm sorry. I retract my statement.
All right.
I believe genuinely from the bottom of my heart the deen of Islam is perfect.
Yes,
I also
correct.
know that the Muslim is deeply corrupted with the disease of racism. And do not call me crazy. You know why? Hang on, stop. Let me finish my point. You know why I'm not crazy? Because I've seen racism in Mecca, in the house of God. Yeah, I saw it when I saw my beautiful sister from the south of Sudan sitting outside of the Al-Masjid Al-Haram with dirt on her bayat, with tears in her eyes, with God in her heart, begging, Ya Allah, let the Ummah help me. And the Nigerian, the Somali, the Pakistani, the Indonesian, the entire Ummah ignored her. But the Bangladeshi, my dear brother from Bengal, yeah, who's a cleaner in the house of God, yeah, he does not ask for money. People give him money because the government do not pay him. Hang on, stop.
We don't know about this. It's something that's unique to your story.
Stop. So the Bengali, who's a cleaner and he doesn't get paid, either he doesn't get paid at all or he doesn't get paid very much.
Yeah.
The Muslim, the Somali, the Nigerian, the Arab, the Turk, the Indonesian, the entire Ummah, we pay for him. We go up to him without him asking for money, and we don't give him 1 or 2 riyal, we give him 10 riyal. When we give to the South Sudanese sister, we give 1 riyal at a time. But when we give to the Bengali one, it's 10 riyal. And when we give to the fake Egyptian who pretends to be Gazan in Mecca, wallahi, there's Egyptians that are pretending to be Gazan. There are Pakistanis that are pretending to be Afghans in Mecca today, right now. And they walk around and they only go to European Muslims. Yeah, they'll go to a European, whether he's black. Most of the time, if he's black, I'm not gonna lie, if the black ones are more inclined to be approached. I don't know why.
So it's a global issue then.
No doubt.
It's a global
No
and
doubt,
it
but
affects
one-
black
hang on,
Muslims as
no
well
doubt,
as.
Is it
no
just
doubt.
between Muslims or is it like a collective issue with everybody?
With everyone.
Everywhere in the world.
Everywhere in the world,
So
including
there's
the
no
Muslim.
point you subjecting
Including
it
the Muslim.
for a group of people when it's a global issue.
No, but
Correct,
what the
so I'm
brother's
saying-
point
hang on,
is
the
that
point-
the Muslims should be held to a higher standard.
Exactly.
Yeah?
I understand
But
that,
this-
but then-
Muslim
If
first.
it's,
So
if,
I'm
if it's a
telling you,
global,
this is a human issue,
if it's a
though.
global,
You're right.
This is a global issue.
If it's a
The-
global
the
issue,
people he's
collect-
commenting
you to
on are
subject
living
a
on
group of
certain
people
times, yeah?
and then just
They
speak
disturb
about racism
people.
within this group when it's a global issue is
Yes.
just false.
no,
You should
that's
speak
not
about
that's
it.
not true
That's
because
a fair
global
point.
issue.
listen,
That's
we're
a
not
fair
gonna
point.
stand there and
What's your
talk
name,
about.
Mustafa.
Mustafa, that's a fair point. Absolutely 100% fair point. And I will agree with you. It is a global issue. However, we as Muslims we have an advantage over someone like Rap Ravens, yeah? But we have the sword and the shield, and it's the Quran and there's the Sunnah. And the Quran and the Sunnah, hang on, it is the antidote, the medicine for every ill in humanity. So what we have to do is become physicians. We have to analyze the disease and then apply the antidotes. Do you understand? Now, if we are just in denial of the problem, which a lot of Muslims are, let's be frank about it, a lot of Muslims don't think there's racism amongst the Muslims. If we are in denial of the problem, how do we apply the antidotes? If we don't see the disease, how do you apply the medicine? So I'm here, firstly, to expose the issue, and you're correct, it's a global issue, but the racism amongst the Muslim is what burns me. The racism amongst the Muslim is what wallahi keeps me up at night.
I've seen. We know it's obviously we know the Quran and the Hadith. All of this is medicine. We're not doubting this. Yeah?
Yes.
This if they practiced it properly, it will take all this away. Yeah. Well, I agree with this.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, yeah, even if people are not practicing it or not, we know this is an issue between everywhere. Yeah.
Correct, yes.
People, these Muslims, they're still human beings, just like everybody else.
Naam.
Yes. People don't practice the deen properly.
Naam.
Yeah? That's exactly what it is.
Naam.
The same antidote, yeah? We agree it's not about Islam. Yeah?
Nah.
Islam is not what's racist.
Nah.
So the same antidote that's for the Muslims is for everything that's
Nah.
racist. You
Nah.
understand?
Nah.
So the same antidote could be used for everything.
Nah.
Yeah? That's what I'm trying
Nah.
to tell you. You shouldn't be
You're
subject to a group
100%.
of people.
You're
You understand?
correct.
If Islam's not the issue and it's somewhere else, then it's a global issue.
But if we're saying we're the adherents, yeah, we're the physicians, we're the surgeons, we've got the cure, yeah, and we're trying to convince people of it, yeah, it's more effective, yeah, that it affects us inwardly first, and then present it to the whole world. If we're saying we've got it, but we're still rotten, you got the medicine in the cabinet's locked, and your key ain't working, there's an issue, and that's the issue that's supposed to be highlighted. Yeah, the thing, look. I sort of lie somewhere in between the spectrum, but one of the things that sort of pees me off about Muslims sometimes is the lax view. Yeah, but everywhere's racist. All right, but what are you doing about it? Aren't you supposed to be an ambassador towards good? If there's something good, you call to it. If there's something evil, you warn from it.
Now, brothers,
and the Muslims ain't doing that.
The issue is, brothers, I've given you the solution, isn't it? And the solution is simple. The solution is, if you feel that people who are not of your same collective group, right, are not helping you, you have to do what?
You have to help yourself.
And you can't be on camera going, why are you not helping me? You just help yourself. Now, people like myself who are not Muslim are saying that we're connected by this experience, and let those people come together and do for self. That's all it is, really.
The issue is
I'll tell you a quick story, yeah? So I'm about to quit my job, innit? I'm about to write a letter of resignation, and not to my boss, to my CEO. And the reason I'm writing it to my CEO is because I experienced racism in my office from a white man who wanted to joke about how he wants to keep slaves, and then 5 minutes later he wants to tell me that when I called him Mr. his last name, he wants to tell me that it's master to you. And then when I told this to my manager, who's a Bengali woman, who's meant to be my sister in the Deen of Islam, when I told her, hang on!
She's your manager, not your sister.
Stop!
She's your manager, don't conflict.
Stop! No, stop, please. Nobody invited you here, Akhi. Please.
Don't.
Please, don't be rude to me. Don't be rude to me.
I'm not. Let me finish.
I'm not gonna fight to speak. Nobody can silence me today. Nobody's gonna silence me today.
Just let him say what he said.
Nobody wants to silence me today. Nobody's gonna silence me today. Finish. You're my uncle, yes? But if you don't treat me with respect, I don't have to show you respect. It's simple as that, innit? That's the rules I live by, innit? Now, this Bengali woman, when I approached her, and I said to her, yeah, and there's a very good reason why I approached her specifically, because I have another manager who's a white Englishman, right? But I approached the Bengali because I thought, oh, she's my sister, A, she's an ethnic minority, B, so she would understand. And she told me I'm basically crazy, and also she's a woman, that's another reason why I approached her. But she essentially told me I'm crazy, she essentially told me I'm making it up, or I'm being, no, what she said, her exact words were, well, not everyone's gonna agree with you, right? When I pointed out this racism. So when I write this letter, I'm gonna write it to my CEO, I'm gonna tell him everything in it, I'm gonna tell him why I quit. And if you really, and the CEO, when I did my induction, he did a presentation where he said, I don't care what you look like, I don't care if you're fat or small, look around the office, there's old people, there's young people, there's more women than men, there's Asians, there's blacks and whatever, I don't care what you look like, I just want you to do a good job. Yeah, so I genuinely believe that was the mission from the people at the top, but somehow it's broken down, and in my business, in the company that I work for, the culture of racism it exists, right? It exists. So this is something practical that one can do. So instead of putting up with it, because I don't need to put up with it. Simple. Instead of putting up with it, I'm gonna resign. Right? And during in my resignation letter, I'll explain why I'm resigning. And this is one of the reasons, because of the reaction of this Bengali sister. Yeah, this is one of the reasons why I feel like it's so critical for me to talk about these things out and loud. And really be as expressive as I possibly can be, because many of us were brainwashed, brothers and sisters. Many of us many of us are brainwashed, yeah, and we're so brainwashed we can't see the disease, and especially amongst the black Muslim, if you don't see yourself as oppressed, you can never fight your oppressor. It's as simple as that. And you can laugh at me, uncle, but please leave. Please leave. All right, you know what? In the deen, you said your bit. Because you're laughing at me. You're laughing at me. I'm not a joke. I'm not a joke. I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. I'm not making it up. Don't laugh at me, innit? Don't laugh at me.
I'm not laughing at you. All right. All right, guys. We as black people, whether we are Muslims or non-Muslims,
bro, he was doing a speech.
All due respect here, you seem like you're in some sort of denial. The brother stated something, and
he
was correct.
He had his moment.
He was correct in stating it. He said the Bengali sister is his sister in Islam. You negated that. I don't know what your what was your standpoint for negating that.
I'll give my point.
Give your point.
It's a work environment. It's not about
sisterhood.
sisterhood.
We're not talking about work.
If he's got,
regardless,
you just asked me a question.
So stick to the point. I'm saying
the point is,
what doesn't make
it is a work environment. If he's got issues, he should approach her as his manager, not as his sister. She did not.
That's what he did. He approached her as a manager.
Exactly. If he's got an issue, other issues,
does that negate her sisterhood? Does that negate the fact that does that legal system?
Yes, there is a legal system.
We're talking about Islam here, brother.
But he's not there as a Muslim. He's there as an employee. See?
Can you, brother? When you go into your workplace,
yes,
do you take off your hat of Islam?
Is
it a garment? Do you not pray in the workplace?
Yeah, I do.
You don't go to Jummah?
I do.
So then how are you telling me you got to separate Islam from the workplace?
I don't ask those as a privilege from my co-worker.
What do you mean it's a privilege?
It's not a privilege.
It's a privilege. It's a right.
No, it is my right.
In this country, it's a right for you to practice your religion. And that's in the workplace.
As in he got the right to work there as a person, not as a black man.
He has a right to work in a place and not be discriminated on the basis of colour and sexual orientation and all of that stuff.
I agree with you.
So but you don't sound like you agreeing, brother. You're opposing everything he says.
I don't have to sound.
You're opposing everything he says.
No, you're not listening to me. That's the point.
Brother.
If he's got issues, there's a legal system. He can sue them. He can take them to court. Why does he have to get angry because someone has mistreated him?
What do you mean?
See, that's the point.
Brother, are you a human or a robot? If someone discriminates against you,
yes,
you're gonna be like Terminator and have no feelings, brother. No, you're gonna get angry. So the brother is justifiably angry at some discrimination, and he's angry that no one had his back. That is human, brother. It doesn't matter, brother. It doesn't matter whether you're in the zoo, or you're at work, brother. If someone does you wrong,
do you want to get something out of, or just want to be angry?
Brother,
someone has discriminated against him, right?
Listen, if someone does me wrong, I have the right to be angry for the next 10,000 years if I want to be.
How long will you be angry?
That's my prerogative. You can't tell me how long to be angry for.
Then be angry.
So he is. So allow him to vent his anger. You can't stand here and say he's wrong for being angry.
I'm not here to take his anger. I'm not here to soothe his anger.
No one said you stand in his path.
Yeah.
He's venting here, and you made it something.
No, he was talking to me,
brother.
And we were talking to him earlier,
right? And then he stood in front of the camera and he left us. Right. You left and now you came back. He was in front of the camera.
I was on the other side.
Brother, no one asked you. No one said you stand in the line of him.
And I was talking to him before the camera and had my issues. My issue is do not conflate your internal, personal and subjective feelings on Islam and Muslims.
No one's talking about Islam, we're talking about Muslims. And if you're in denial that if you're in denial that there's a Muslim issue,
it's not a Muslim,
brother, don't tell me sort of. No, it's not personal. It's a Muslim issue, brother.
It's a personal issue. They don't have to be Muslim to feel like that.
We're not talking. We're talking about specifically is racism within the Islamic community.
Do you understand that?
That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about global. We don't care about global. We're talking about Muslims who should uphold hold a certain
You need to
standard of
understand- you need to
living.
find out if you understand, 'cause you might understand. Do you understand that the topic is racism amongst the Muslim Brotherhood and sister? That's what he's trying to fix. Is racism good? No, let's back and forth. Is racism good?
That's not good.
So if it is happening, should it be fixed?
It should be fixed.
Right.
On-
Is Muslims good?
Islam is good.
Is
and
Islam is
great.
good? And when you're part of Islam, you become a Muslim, right?
Yes, indeed.
So if Muslims are practicing racism,
Yes.
should something be done about it?
Muslims should perfect themselves.
Thank you.
Yes.
So that's what he's trying to do.
Yes.
Now
The
we have
thing
different
is-
strategies.
Yes.
How would you do that? How would you try to fix that issue?
That is the point. It has to be personal. Personal path and journey.
So what
Self-
personal path? Give us something tangible.
Yes.
Because remember,
Give us something
yes,
tangible.
So what is the process you have to go through?
The
to fix
process is, if you feel you are being subjected to unfair laws or behavior,
Right.
you have to stand up for yourself
Right.
and correct it the best way you can.
So this
But
is
instead of
now,
feeling
hold on,
anger
what's your name,
and
brother?
resentment.
What is your name, brother?
Abdul
Abdul,
Ghani.
no, thank you, Abdul. Here's what I preach. Now, racism is global, and it happens
it
to be a
is.
Christian, atheist, and Muslim.
Yes.
Right? But I'm saying that black people who are a victim of it, we can have whimsical words that sound good, like you have strength and so on.
Yeah.
Or we can be organized, come together, and do for self. You see?
But the thing is,
Now, what do you think about that
there will always
concept?
be racism.
Yeah, there you go. So the brother who's not black is telling you there's always going to be racism, right?
Yeah.
So we should take heed to this. Now, what I'm saying is this, yeah? If black people are realize we are victims of certain kind of mistreatment, do you not see it's a better strategy for us to come together and do for ourselves, as in network amongst ourselves to build up our own separate communities among this black brotherhood kind of system?
it is a good idea.
Okay.
As long as you don't feel yourself to be a victim. I have lived in this country for longer than he's been alive. Yes.
Yes, I agree.
I've lived under the same condition, and actually 20 years it was worse. 20, 30, 40 years it was worse.
Okay.
Yes, but I've never felt to be a victim of anyone else.
But
If someone is feeling
I hear this.
if someone is feeling an evil intent on me, that's the problem, not
But
mine.
the
I don't
thing
have
is,
to
you
internalize it.
cannot control the emotions of someone who actually is a victim. So someone like you might be able to take racist language towards you and handle it better than someone else. Because you might have grew up in a much more harsh environment where you have the tools needed to actually shield yourself from that. But not everyone has had that privilege.
then-
So we have to try
Yes.
to give them, rather than judge them and make them feel belittled to look away, we have to bring them in and give them the tools that you have so they can do that.
But that's what I have an issue with. You giving to someone else.
What
You or me.
You have an issue training people.
No,
You
no,
don't
not
like-
training. Someone should be able to should empower themselves and do something for themselves
Okay, but-
instead of someone else doing for them.
Okay,
See,
so this concept of black people coming together to work on the self-issues is good then?
it is good
Okay.
as long as it comes from within an individual person. It is all good and well and good of you trying to do something for other people. They have to empower themselves first. They must take ownership of themselves, of their field, of their destiny, instead of someone else doing it for them. Otherwise, we've been here 60 years ago, 100 years ago, it will be back again. 50, 100 years ago, it will be the same thing.
Content over everything. From your melody.
Man, say it straight. Man, don't listen to BBC. Man, don't listen to ITV. Listen!
COE.
Man, don't listen to BBC. Man, don't listen to ITV. I don't even listen to Sky YG. I just listen to COE. Man, don't listen to BBC. Man, don't listen to ITV. I don't even listen to Sky YG. Man, just listen to COE. Man, just listen to COE. Man, just listen to COE. If you see me, it's COE. Content over everything.
COE. Man, not even know BBC. Man, not even know ITV. Not even listen to the MUM. They just listen to COE. Sorry, mommy, I'm lying. Mom, but listen to your mom.